everyone, and welcome to Flexing Up, Oncore's great, fantastic podcast. Today, we're really excited here today with CEO of Oncore, Damian. How are you, mate?
Very well, mate. Very well.
Been a while?
Yeah, it has. Sounds a bit better than you, though, with your cold.
I know I have got a bit of a husky voice, but some people might say it sounds a bit better. Hey, what we really want to do today is touch on the market itself, like really lean into what's going on. Firstly, overall, and then probably more in the contingent space. So where are you seeing the market right now?
Very good question. Market's flat. There's no doubt about it. I think there's been a decline since November 21, really, when I guess M&A activity started to decline. Most of us in the staffing industry supply chain had that fast forward demand in late 21 when we all came out of COVID. Yep. And then really since then, it's really over the last 6 months, things have plateaued. We've seen job vacancies in the contractor space or contingent space in the areas that we track. They're as low as what they were in May 2020 when COVID hit.
Right.
We've seen more organisations, I guess, push jobs offshore as well. And of course, we know that permanent vacancies are down considerably, as is evidenced with recent large staffing companies' annual reports, all down 20, 25, 30%. So some would say that it's tough. Some of us have been around for a while would say we're back to normal.
Yeah, well, that's it, isn't it? Because prior to COVID, there was a sense of normalcy or at least predictability to an extent in seasonal fluctuations. But since that hit us, predictions have gone out the window. We had this massive drop-off, massive high, pretty much of an overcorrection, and now maybe we are heading back to a bit of stability. So, and I think that some of the larger businesses, and I know you said that the contingent market has been impacted, but the perm market has been impacted more, and some decisions are being made in enterprise to bring in contingent labour while they're deciding what's going to happen.
Yeah, and look, that's, there's an old saying in the industry that contingent and contract are the first to go and the first to come back.
Yeah.
As organisations protect their most valuable asset, which are their people, and they're good people. And I think we'll see, we're just monitoring things now as to see, is this a gorge? Because we've seen a downturn significantly since June. And I think a lot of organisations that we trade with, and certainly the reports I'm reading out there, is this a gorge or is this a long valley? And what I mean by that is, when is it going to bounce back? My personal view is I think we'll see a ramp out like we did in 21 in probably August 25, which is 12 months off, but I'm no expert. Well,
but it was funny because when you were telling me before about you thought there was going to be a bounce back in August 25, I thought you meant next month, August 25th. I thought, wow, that's very precise in one day.
No, that's the closing loopholes date of implementation, I think, isn't it? It's August 25.
So maybe even just really briefly touch on the closing loopholes, just for people. And again, I know that we're not in a position here to give advice, but just an observation on what people can expect.
Look, I think one of the things that the government's been trying to do, certainly with the closing loopholes, is just that, is to close the loopholes. And what I see and we're getting very good advice, and thank you to all those out there who have been helping us, but it's certainly removing the opaqueness, the greyness about, engagement models for contingent workers. I think that's one of the real positives about it. And it's providing greater clarity to people going forward about what's right, what's wrong. Some businesses won't like that. So, like anything, we've just got to adapt to it. I think it was at Jeremy Irons in Margin Call at the end of the movie when he was talking to Kevin Spacey. He said, all these downturns, 2000, 2009, 87, 84, 92, we just have to adapt. And that's certainly what we need to do as an industry, is just adapt to the conditions. But, it is what it is. We've just got to work with it.
Yeah. And on just closing off that, closing loopholes, it's probably a good idea for all people who are in the contingent space and contingent workforce to make sure that their contracts are right.
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt. I mean, I would imagine every industrial employment law lawyer is very, very busy at the moment.
Rubbing their hands.
But get the right advice and test the advice. I think that's one of the things that I often encourage people to do, is test the advice. And whether it's an accountant, whether it's a lawyer, just test it and the same with people acquiring contingent workforces or technology. Test what's out there. There's never been a better time to shop around, I think.
Yeah. And as the ATO once told me, ignorance is no defence. So make sure that you know what's going on in your own backyard.
Yeah, correct, mate. Correct.
So the contingent workforce. I'm lucky enough to talk to lots of people in industry about lots of different things in talent, and contingent workforce has become a major talking point, probably even over the last 12 months. And some people are going so far as saying it will be the future of work. There is no way around it anymore, that normalcy of permanent workforces will not be normal moving forward, and probably aren't even already. Yeah,
and I think that's been accentuated by COVID, of course, and we have Gen Zs who we're all talking about in 2018, 19 coming into the workforce. Now they're in the workforce. You've got millennials into the workforce. They've been accustomed to a particular lifestyle, and they've seen their parents, people like me, work hard with particular employers, and probably they don't want to go through the pain again. Every generation is different, and I think it is the Gen Zs and the millennials that will drive this change. In particular, they want flexibility. You've got a wave of demand from the supply side, but then you've also got a wave of demand from the employer side, where there's continual, what I call it, uncertainty in the world, and so therefore, hiring large workforces of a permanent nature going forward, when I don't know what it looks like in 12 months or 2 years or 3 years' time, becomes a real challenge for any organisation or CEO or executive in an organisation.
Well, it makes commercial sense to manage your workforce in that way. If you have some stability that can be really predicted, maybe look to that permanent workforce. But for all other areas, and it's getting more and more unstable, the contingent workforce could be the way forward. And also, even from your state of contracting report, some of the feedback that's come, or the statistics have come back through that report around contractors seeing it as a career, right? So 90% of people who responded as contractors said that's where they want to stay. They want to stay as contractors, and exactly your point before, they're looking for an environment in their career where there's flexibility, where there's good money, where they're still learning, and where they're getting engaged, but also the light's staying on and they're not, just sitting at a desk doing the same thing day after day.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that came out of that, Craig, was meaningful work.
Yeah,
that was one of the top three things that contractors were after, and what we mean by meaningful work can mean different things to different people. One could be to advance their career. Is it meaningful to help me progress as a contractor and an individual?
Yeah.
Another one could be in relation to the values and beliefs of the organisations that they're working for. Could be meaningful. So, but I think it's important to understand what meaningful works with everybody that comes through the door, because everybody has different values and beliefs, and it's understanding those and different motivations. And that's probably the key thing that came out. The other thing that came out too was there was a lot more women, which was fantastic to see. A lot more women in our sample size this year.
Well, I think in the Gen Z demographic, it's 50-50 now, which, in tech, finance and other industries, that just doesn't happen. Not only in contingent, but even in perm. So it's really showing that in the contingent space and in those key industries, that the gender balance is coming. It's here, maybe.
Yeah.
So it's great. It's a great stat. But so that's really interesting. So when enterprises are looking at the contingent workforce, there's a lot of different stakeholders involved, from procurement to people to finance. So what should these groups be looking for, and how does it all work together?
I think the first thing, Craig, is that, as I mentioned before, there's never been a better time to shop around.
Yep.
And I think one of the frustrations I have with industry in general, they're only purchasing and buying what's right in front of them. Now, we have enterprise solutions, but we also sit behind 250 very, very good recruiters.
Yep.
Hyper specialised, boutique, been in the larger companies for 10 years and then gone out on their own. And often they are dismissed or not considered, yet they could be the best recruiters in the land. The same with technology vendors. There's plenty out there that are not considered, and it just seems to be the same ones over and over again that end up in these organisations. So I think the key message for me is shop around, see what's out there.
Yeah, there's some smart
Understand
stuff
where the value is. Things that some may be at the end of their product life cycle, but that's the only thing I would be saying to organisations is really research the market to see what value is out there for your organisation rather than looking to acquire what's right in front of you.
And you make a really great point there that the contingent workforce is not just for large enterprise businesses. It's for different sized businesses, but also as a third party recruitment function, RPO, MSP, everything can be evolving into the contingent space, and you need to shop around it. And first of all, make an understanding from business what's right for us internally.
Yeah, every organisation is different. Everyone will have different needs, different motivations for buying, different stages of their life cycle when it comes to talent strategies. So they do need to really consider what's out there, as I said.
Yeah, and one of the key things too is visibility over the contingent workforce, because it's largely hidden. People don't know internally what someone's doing in another department if they're on contract.
Look, the amount of people that I talk to or ask the question, how many have you got? And then I have a laugh with them. If you've got 400, you've probably got 600. And then we find out there's more than 600, there's 2,000, and they're under varying engagement models and the risks are there. Yeah, that's what I mean by really not only from an acquisition perspective, but also looking beneath the hood, lift the hood and have a look what's really under there.
Yeah. So there you have it, guys. Gain an understanding of what your business is like. Find out what you need as a business. Shop around for both partners, tech, and look at what you've already got and how you can perhaps change it to better provide for business.
Yeah, and I think also our industry is relatively unknown. I think when I first joined Oncore, I wasn't aware of the industry, and we've got some very good competitors that offer great value.
Yeah.
It's not just us, but I think the industry as a whole is relatively unknown, and I just encourage people to explore options. That's all.
Yeah, and if you are looking for more information, just jump on the website, get yourself a call, and I'm sure the people at Oncore here are going to really help you out and give you some advice anyway on what your next steps may be, without ramming it down your throat.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, mate. Yeah.
Mate, it's been great. As always, been great to catch up.
Yeah,
I look forward to doing it again real soon. Until next time, everyone, from Flexing Up, see you soon.